Positioning items in CSS can be a little bit tricky, but if you know the foundation very well, it is very easy to get started with it and implement any difficult positioning system. So there are many ways to position items on the page, but the major or the most useful systems you need to know about is Flexbox and grid system. Both are CSS techniques that help you to align items in the page according to your need and according to your design. So let's take a look at Flexbox, what we can use with the Flexbox. So imagine we're going to build a header that contains a logo on the left and a button to sign up on the right. So I'm going to remove this one here, and I will keep the button to be sign up, like that. And then, let me hide this one. We have this button here. Now, we need also the logo. So for now, let's add some logo from here, icons.div. And let's take any logo, for example, this one. In here, we say, we paste this, and let's change the width and height of this to be 10. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, okay, fine. Now we need also to wrap them into a div, and you will see why. So div, and then we wrap both of these children to be inside. If we run this, nothing will change. However, now, if we apply to the parent the flex class, look what will happen. So if you say class and flex, if you save it, both of them will be in the same row. And that's very powerful, actually. Now, what we want to achieve is we want to have the logo on the left, and then the button will go all the way to the right of the screen. To achieve this, we need to add one more class to this. It's called justify between. So if we say justify between, it will add an equal space between this element, and by doing that, it will push them away from each other, one to the right and one to the left. So let's save it, and you will see now the button comes to the right and the logo stays on the left. So now we can enhance it a little bit. We can add padding on the y-axis and padding on the x-axis to look nicer. And here we go. We can increase maybe the y to be 3 or 4. There we go. And then maybe we can add a background to the nav bar. Since we are building the nav bar, we can add a BG gray 300 or 200. By doing so, this is what we will get. You can play with the color system to achieve the final design that you're looking for. Now, grid system works differently when you have elements you want to have them in a grid shape, like 3 boxes in a row, or let's say you are building a blog, and then you will have something like this. So if you go to my website, salim.dev, you will see this boxes here, like this and this and this. They somehow present a grid system. And you can do this as well in Flexbox, but it's easier to do that in grid system. So let's take a look how to do this in grid. Let's imagine we are building the same blog articles that I have in my website. And if I say the div wrapper, that include all of them, has a class of grid, look what will happen. So I have the first one to be article number 1, article number 2, article number 3. If you do this, look what will happen. Nothing will change. Nothing actually will be, noticeable. You feel like nothing is applied. But actually, if you add one more class and you say grid calls 3, which means grid the number of columns to be 3, then by saving this, look what will happen. These 3 columns will be spread out across the screen, which is very powerful for defining many cases. Look at this one, for example. This basically can be a grid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 items in the row, and you have multiple rows. That's very powerful for many cases. And please take a look at the documentation. You can find that here. This is the entire section of Flexbox, and then you have an entire section of grid. So I advise you to walk through all the examples provided in this documentation to understand the power of these 2 positioning systems, Flexbox and grid. And I will share with you an external course to watch from codecourses.com.